Hello, and welcome to The Other Side of the Bell, a podcast dedicated to everything trumpet, brought to you by Bob Reeves Brass. We'll help you take your trumpet playing to the next level. I'm John Snell, trumpet specialist here at Bob Reeves Brass, and I'll be your host for this episode. Joining me today is trumpeter Paul Litteral, here to talk about the Uptown Horns, being a part of the jazz, rock, and pop scene in New York in the 70s and 80s, and the release of his latest album, The Literal Truth. We'll get to Paul's interview here in a moment after a word from our sponsor and some trumpet news. Today's episode is brought to you by Bob Reeves Brass, who share your passion for creating extraordinary music. You know that feeling when your instrument just clicks and the music flows effortlessly? That's what Bob Reeves Brass has been helping customers do since 1968. We've helped brass musicians like you achieve their dreams by ensuring their equipment is always in perfect harmony. We know you want to immerse yourself in the art of music making, and we're here to remove any barriers between you and your creative vision. Bob Reeves Brass is truly your one-stop shop for everything you need to fuel your passion and create music that touches hearts and souls. So go ahead, let us help you elevate your sound to new heights. Don't wait another moment to elevate your musical journey with Bob Reeves Brass. Connect with us at bobreeves.com, shoot us an email at info@bobreeves.com, and keep up with the latest news on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Bob Reeves Brass. Embrace your passion for music and let Bob Reeves Brass be your partner in creating the extraordinary. Happy holidays, everybody. It's almost 2026. I'm still working on my January 2025 to-do list, but that's okay. It's been a wonderful year, a rewarding year, looking back at all the places we've traveled, all the folks we've met on the road or here at the shop, and just another, time to be thankful for all of you, listeners, customers, friends. Recently, Morton from Norway checked in, said he's a huge fan of the podcast and listens up in Scandinavia. Probably a little colder up there now than it is 75 degrees here in LA outside my window. And Dave, a good friend of mine who we've met up at the Atom Fests a few years in a row, he recently emailed me and said he's now, this might be too much information, now that he's retired, he's in the Silver Sneaker Club. And so the benefit of going to the gym every day, he checked in and said he's been listening to nonstop trumpet podcasts in the gym every morning. So a little shout out to Dave. Yeah, Dave plays in a great ska band, which hopefully I'll get to hear someday, and just living life to the fullest, playing music and doing his thing and working out. Very inspirational. I need to hit the gym today after I'm done here. So Morton and Dave, thanks for checking in. And several other of you have sent me emails and Facebook messages over the last week. It is gig season. I mean, Christmas is the time when every trumpet player, brass player, anyone who could, any warm body that can hold a trumpet seems to get a gig. So I hope those are all going well for you. And obviously the fulfillment of brass in the holiday season there's nothing like it. Growing up with my dad and his brass quintet and brass ensemble, it probably will just have happened by the time this episode posts. But we sponsor the Los Angeles Brass Alliance, a fine organization of young graduate age brass musicians and percussionists, and they put on a few concerts a year. Fabulous outreach program, educational organization, as well as promoting young composers, commissioning new works for brass. And they are doing a holiday concert this year featuring one of my dad's arrangements of Away in the Manger, which is actually one of my favorite arrangements of my dad's. And they invited me to give a little interview as part of their concert. So absolute honor to be a part of that group and help Bob Reeves Brass help sponsor that organization. So if you want to learn more about the LA Brass Alliance, or Lab A for short, we'll have links down below for that. What else we have coming up? Couple quick hits for travel. We are going to take part in the Trumpet Festival of the Southeast. So that's January 17th, 2026 at Kennesaw State University. And that's just outside of Atlanta. So if you're in and around the Southeast, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, driving distance to the Atlanta area, I hope you'll come. We will be doing valve alignments. I'll have the link to where you can pre-order. It's only a one-day event, January 17th. So the valve alignments are going to be very limited, probably only 5 or 6 that day. So if you want to sign up, and you know you want an alignment, pre-order at the link in the description or contact the shop. It's going to be an amazing event that they're putting on. Ashley Hall-Tai, former guest this year of the podcast, is going to be performing a recital, as well as Kellen Hannes out of New York, another fabulous young trumpet player. So I'm excited to hear and see both of them, as well as seeing all of you at the Trumpet Festival of the Southeast, January 17th. A few weeks later, we'll be heading to San Antonio for the annual Texas Music Educators Association Conference in San Antonio, February 11th to 14th at the Convention Center downtown. Huge event, lots of alignments, lots of horns, lots of Olven mutes. I will probably still have some guard bags in stock by then, so we'll have some guard bags at the booth and lots of fun. Probably some Shires instruments as well. So if you're in and around Texas, or you've made All-State, or you teach someone who's made All-State, we will see you at TMEA February 11th to 14th. Next up after that is our trip to Dylan Music. February 26th to 28th, we will be at the store in Woodbridge, New Jersey, just outside of Manhattan, short train trip away. So a lot of you have been emailing, when are you going back to Dylan's? When are you going back to Dylan's? And it is finally happening, just over 2 months away. So excited to get back there, hang out with the folks there, and see you. So we don't have links for that one yet. Once we get that organized in terms of the alignment appointments and scheduling and stuff, we will let you know. But the Southeast Trumpet Festival, those links will be up, and I should have the TMEA alignment links up by the end of the year. So that's the next 3 trips. Looking further on, we're going to be doing NTC. We're doing a Pacific Northwest tour, or at least a Seattle area, I think, in the spring. And who knows where else we'll end up next year. So as always, stay tuned. Always a good time to plug our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. We still do a little bit on X. And of course, our website. And give us your email, because we'll always email out when we go to events and when there's a link to schedule alignments, things like that. So stay in touch with us, because there's nothing worse than figuring out we were just half an hour from you doing alignments, and then I get a call or email that following week asking if we can do an alignment, and the person has to ship their instrument halfway across the country. So a lot of travel coming up in 2026. We'll keep it going. Oh, we've been busy here at the shop. We just renovated the office, put in all new flooring and new paint. I got to tell you, a 30-year-old pink carpet with who knows how many trumpet and trombone players' DNA in it. It was not a pretty sight. So we're excited to start the new year with a very fresh office, clean office. So if you're in the area, come by, get an espresso, and check out the new digs here at the shop. I wish every one of you a happy holidays, however you celebrate. It's been an amazing year, and here's to an even better 2026. So now let's get right on to my interview with my good buddy, Hollywood Paul Litteral. Paul Litteral got his start in the pit playing Broadway hits like The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, A Chorus Line, and Chess before co-founding the legendary Uptown Horns in 1978 with saxophonist Arno Hecht. The band quickly became a staple of the New York club scene and hit the road with the Jay Giles Band, leading to tours and sessions with the Rolling Stones, Robert Plant, Tom Waits, Joe Cocker, James Brown, Pat Benatar, and Ray Charles. Together, they've racked up credits on more than 150 albums, including James Brown's Grammy-winning Living in America and tracks for Albert Collins, Bonnie Raitt, Robert Palmer, Lou Reed, and R.E.M. Paul has just released his second solo album, The Literal Truth, in a vibrant fusion of jazz, funk, and rock, reimagining classics from Steely Dan, Edgar Winter, and some deserving deep cuts through Paul's soulful tone, inventive phrasing, and one-of-a-kind vision. I'm really excited to talk to Paul about his horn section career and this outstanding new album. So without further ado, here's my interview with Hollywood Paul Litteral. Well, I'm so honored to have on the other side of the bell for a second run, none other than Hollywood Paul Litteral. Paul, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Nice to be back on with you.
Oh, man, what an honor. You've oiled your valves, you had your coffee, you're ready to talk trumpet?
Yeah, everything's lubed up and ready to go.
Let's go. And I do want to mention up front that you have a new album out, The Literal Truth, that it's going up the chart to number 6, right? You just mentioned?
Number 6 now. It was 15 and it jumped to number 6. And
Congratulations.
it's number 3 on the crossover charts.
Congratulations. So, I mean, yeah, we'll be excited to talk about that, but we'll get into it first. And I do want to mention, we did, the first episode we did with Paul, we covered a lot of your life and from the beginning to the end, similar to the format of our other podcasts. But if you would, Paul, just kind of to bring us up to speed, can you give us the Cliff Notes version of how you started up to how you got into New York and started the
Oh,
Uptown
yeah.
Horns?
Well, born in Kentucky, lived with my grandmother through, I guess, from the time right after I was born until like 12, then moved to the town, and I was on a dirt road off a lane in an old area that used to be a coal mines.
Hmm.
And so they had the coal roads going in and out. And so I lived there, 4 acres surrounded by 42 acres, and then moved to the small town of 2,000 people. Did grade school, started band in junior high, then went to high school, was in the band there from freshman all the way through. Then I got a chance to audition for the Navy. And along with colleges, I had like college offers, but everybody in my school, the trumpet players that were really good, went to college and then they drop out because that first year in college is really tough to practice and do everything, plus your studies, keep your grades up, have to try to get a job to try to afford being there. And so I decided to join the Navy if I could be accepted. I had to audition. Well, they flew me to Chicago. I auditioned. I passed the audition. Obviously, that's how we were talking before.
Yeah.
I ended up at Navy School of Music, and then ended up at my first duty station because I played in the student lab band at Navy School of Music, and got selected. I could either gone to Washington, but if I went to Washington, I'd had to go to Annapolis first and wait until there's an opening, and then you go in. But I went right to a duty station in New York City at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, was there probably a year, and then they did a consolidation and wanted to make a specialty band for the Marine War College. So it was New York, Boston, Philly combined, and went to Newport, Rhode Island. And that's where I was stationed for the rest of the tour of the Navy. And then at the end of the Navy, I popped right down to New York. And I've been taking lessons in New York the whole time.
So
it was very funny. The Olympics were going on one year, and I was driving, Winter Olympics, and I was driving from Newport to New York, there and back in one day for a lesson.
Amazing. So you already, because of the Navy, you're already getting your feet wet in New York, and I mean that's where your interest in the scene developed.
I used to go to the clubs. I used to go to the Vanguard and see Thad and Mal, Elvin Jones, Woody Shaw, Freddie. It was like being in a master class with your exposure to big bands like Maynard or Buddy Rich. And it was like the 70s, so that was the heyday for those guys.
Yeah, they were all in their prime. So you're in New York, well, Rhode Island, driving down. Who are you studying with in New York? Who would you drive down to see?
Ray Crisera.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
Boy,
Amazing.
I hated those lessons because we used to do Charlier, and you're doing the Charlier study, and you're starting, and you go halfway down the page and you make a mistake. You don't pick up. Go back up to the upper left and start over.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah. Howie studied with Ray, didn't he?
Yeah.
How did you guys ever talk about?
No, we didn't meet there. We never met in New York, and I was so shocked. He was aware of me, though. He knew who I was.
Yeah.
But and we were in different, playing in different circumstances.
Yeah. But
I was more in the rock and rollers who were had deals and were working towards a deal or playing the hippest clubs and blah, 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 which I just fell into. So, and it was great.
You also had bigger hair than Howie then.
That came later.
That came.
Yes, I did. I went totally gonzo, on the rock experience, and did everything except the extreme hard drugs.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Did you ever talk to Howie later? Because I mean, you studied with him for a little bit before his passing, right? Did
Oh
you ever talk to
yeah,
him about? Did you guys ever talk about
you
your
know,
time
he
with
helped get
Ray?
me through. When I had Bell's palsy.
Hmm.
He really, I was taking from him at that time, and I'd been doing Legacy, my first record,
Hmm.
and I had to stop, and he really walked me through getting better and kept my spirits up, and we couldn't play,
Yeah.
but he would teach me theory to keep my mind, focused and straight. It
Mm.
was really beneficial. I miss him a lot.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
yeah. Miss Howie Shearer, dear friend, of the shops, of all of ours, and
He was such a
man, what
character.
we could do a whole episode. Maybe we should do. Maybe we should do a whole episode on Howie stories. Get a bunch of his old
Yeah.
students
Well,
and
get Bill
and
Bodine in too.
oh yeah, of course, yeah. So you're studying with Ray. You're I mean, tell us about the New York scene. I mean, you were going to the Vanguard. You were doing jazz stuff, hearing those
Yeah, I
Thad
was
Jones,
in
like
a
you said.
hmm I was in a
Like what?
big band in the Navy, in the Navy
Hmm.
band there, and then I was in a rock band with the Navy band because they were going around to schools and they play afternoon concerts, and
How
then the
progressive of
recruiters
them.
would talk to the kids trying to get them in the Navy, which I got to
Yeah,
say I felt terrible because I felt like
really.
I was like the Pied Piper leading the kids to ruin. You know what I mean? Because they're enjoying music and seeing us be happy and performing, and
Hmm.
that's not what their life is going to be.
It's going to be military. Yeah,
Military, right?
yeah, yeah.
And that's something that. And at the time, from being in the Navy, I was, I, I don't know if I should. I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, the people in the Navy who were in the command area were so like unqualified
Hmm.
to lead men. Like most of them had a drinking problem, like I'm talking heavy drinking problem.
Yeah.
And they were just going through, it seemed like the motions more than
Hmm.
really taking it as a job seriously, which is a very
Yeah.
serious job, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're stuck. You
And you're
know,
stuck. You
you're
cannot get out.
stuck.
Once the gate closes, that's it. 4 years
Yeah.
later, we're going to open it up and kick you out.
It's not like you're in a university and can transfer because you don't like your professor, or you're
No, but I
working
gotta
working
say,
at
from
yeah.
being transferred to New York, it was looser there.
Okay. Yeah.
It was much looser there, and then we went to Newport, and it was loose there. And I was in a big band there that had a guy that was leading it, a master chief named
Hmm.
Otto Schabel, who did Maynard stuff, and I mean, really did it well.
Hmm.
Was really a good trumpet player. But I played lead in that for him, and I was so skinny and so young. I was so young. I was 18, when I
Oh
went in
man, playing lead. So
playing
at this
lead.
point, I mean, were you kind of leaning one direction or the other in terms of big band or rock, or was there a
I think
pull
I
one way or
was.
the other?
I think I was finding myself. I was playing a lot of jazz and the rock band, and I loved
Hmm.
rock because of being exposed to it. From high school on. Because
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be exposed to the great heyday of rock and roll
Hmm.
and all those bands from the British invasion on, and the
Hmm.
metal bands that came in, and then the horn bands, Blood, Sweat, and Tears in Chicago.
Hmm.
Also the Electric Flag, which is a little known rock band, horn band,
Yeah.
Mike Bloomfield, and then White Trash, and then Cold Blood. I mean, and Memphis Horns, and I mean, it was a great time for that kind of music with horns in it. There
Hmm.
were so yeah, and then I got to continue that in the Navy, which is kind of crazy. I think I played marches twice a year.
Everything else was big band and rock stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What fun. So yeah, you moved to New York after your Navy, and was it just like working from the ground up,
No, no,
networking?
no. I
Uh,
started. I was still studying with Ray, and then me
mhm.
and Ray had the serious talk where he said, "Well, do you want to be a classical trumpet player or a commercial trumpet player?" And I said, and I'd studied classical with him from the time I started.
Hmm.
Marcel Biche, Chardet, all the excerpts, blah, blah,
Yeah.
had all those horns. But I always gravitated towards big band and rock,
Hmm.
and jazz. And so he got me an audition that I was never going to get, but he wanted me to go to get the experience. And I showed up at this classical audition for a orchestra in New York. It was for the opera.
Hmm.
And there were 400 trumpet players there.
Was this for the Met?
Yeah, for the
You
Met.
took a Met Opera audition.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Oh my
And
gosh.
I had no business doing a Met opera audition. None.
Yeah.
But he grilled me on the excerpts
Yeah,
for
it was the
months
process. It was the
and
process, right?
then
Yeah.
just threw me in there. Mel Broyles was retiring. And then I got there and all these guys are great.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously great.
Yeah.
And I played behind the screen and it was great. I mean, I felt wonderful. It wasn't like I was going to get it, but they called me back in for a second listening. I think my sound was good at that time. So,
Yeah. That's amazing. I had no idea.
yeah,
That's so
but
cool.
That did it for me because you know who they selected, right?
Which one was
The
that? It was
alternate. The alternate who goes and plays with them at Christmas or Easter or
yeah.
summer or when they have a hard
Yeah.
thing, an alternate that they know they already have worked with. I mean, I understand you've already worked with this guy.
Hmm.
You know who he is.
Yeah. But you still have to fly the audition, and 400 people have to go through the rigmarole.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have to buy a plane ticket, get a hotel, stay food for when they're
Hmm.
there, and then do that and then fly home dejected.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
wasn't my scene. I
But
didn't
you had
need
the
that.
experience. Yeah. You
No.
had the experience. You learned what you didn't want to do,
Right.
which is
And then
sometimes just as important.
Ray said to me, you need a lead trumpet player, teacher.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I started taking from Jimmy Maxwell
Interesting.
religiously.
Interesting. Yeah. How cool. So, what kind of stuff did Jimmy have you do?
Lead trumpet, he had a book at that time called The Lead Trumpet. And I
Hmm.
worked out of that book and then excerpts from big bands of their charts and working on that. And then working on a lot of, surprisingly, he was a William Ellington devotee.
Hmm.
So brought me into that and then got me into jazz soloing a little bit. Because
So,
his thing in jazz soloing was more like from the pops idiom.
mhm.
And he played with Norman Granz every year, that tour that they would do through the jazz festivals.
So, I mean, can you explain that a little bit more? Like, how is the pop idiom and how that's different from what was it, traditional swing jazz, bebop kind of lineage?
The pop idiom was from my exposure of growing up in high school and listening
Hmm.
to like Memphis Horns, Chicago, and Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and really studying that.
Yeah.
I gravitated towards that from very young age.
Is it a style thing? Is it a note choice thing? Is it,
It's a style thing. And
Okay.
it's a lot of guys who are jazz players, and now, not to say they're great jazz players.
Hmm.
Let me preface this. They are great jazz players.
Yeah.
But they seem, in a lot of instances, to look down on rock
Hmm.
and R&B and not take it seriously. And I treated that like an art.
Hmm.
Those horn sections like an art. Their phrasing like an art. And the importance of that. Of
Hmm.
like, yes, you can emulate that, but you have to make it your own. Just like in jazz, when you play jazz solos, you learn the language, but you have to make that language your own.
Yeah. Any particularly influential tunes from the Memphis or
Yeah,
some of the old classic rock days?
All the stuff with Otis Redding and Al
Okay.
Green, and then I met Wayne Jackson,
Oh, cool.
trumpet player from the Memphis Horns, who played on all that stuff, who
Hmm.
was at Stax Volt recording that stuff,
Yeah.
And we became friends. And I was playing in this band in New York called Brenda and the Real Tones.
Hmm.
And Brenda was like a actress singer that had been a cult figure in some films, and particularly the film that had the biggest support for her was Women Behind Bars,
Hmm.
which was a very obscure film. But like, let me say this: we'd play gigs, and they'd have to clear the club out for the second set.
Wow.
It was going around the block, people to see her. And she was doing soul music. So she was doing all the old soul stuff from Al Green to Rufus Thomas walking the dog, Otis Redding, all of it, you know, Carla Thomas, everything.
Yeah.
So I got
Yeah.
exposed to all of that. And then what solidified this even more, it was like a a doctorate program, was this Irish bar called Tramps in the village. Every summer and every winter near Christmas, they would do a soul week where they would fly an old soul singer up. And I was in the band that played behind them with the Uptown Horns. We played behind them and would recreate their thing live. And the band was authentic, and so were we. So
Yeah.
it got great reviews and did very well. I mean, like, it was very cool.
Oh, cool. And that probably also then started connecting you with artists and adding things to your guys' arsenal, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah, and to do that, I hung a lot at clubs.
Hmm.
I used to go every night. It destroyed my marriage, but I
Well, I
used to
appreciate
go.
your honesty, but
It is what it is.
it is what it is. Yeah. Well, and where are we still talking about what 70s, late 70s at this point, or
No,
what?
we're in the 80s. I'm out. I'm in New York. I'm living there. I'm going through it. My poor wife is dealing with this. We
Hmm.
have a kid, I have a beautiful daughter that I helped deliver, and I love her to no end. We have a great
Yeah.
relationship now, but
Hmm.
then I think the divorce was really hard.
Yeah, I could imagine. But it was, I mean, that was the scene then, right? I mean, you
But
would,
I was in search of Paul.
mhm.
That was that time period in in my generations where we always
Yeah,
had to find ourselves. When
yeah.
no matter where you go, there you are, right? You're not lost.
There you are. It's very Zen Buddhist. Yeah, here I'm here in the moment. But I mean, give us a picture of this. I mean, the scene in the '80s in New York. I mean, you had all kinds of music being created, and what punk is getting
Oh
established,
yeah,
and
punk is starting
rock,
out.
and yeah.
They literally had punk gigs at like CBGB's, which was the premier rock club. Like, Talking Heads started there, Debbie
Mhm.
Harry started there, the Ramones started there. They would have punk acts at 12 noon with kids in there doing a mosh pit, like just slamming into each other. It looked
Jeez.
like a brawl.
Yeah.
First time I went in there, I go, "What the hell is this?" You know what I mean? It's crazy. And
Yeah.
I ended up with a lot of groups playing in there quite regularly. There, Max's Kansas City, another famous club. Iggy Pop came out of Max's Kansas City.
Hmm.
Fillmore East, uh, the World, the Ritz. I played tons of gigs at the Ritz. We, as the Uptown Horns, probably played in every club and every studio in New York City and adjacent. And to the point that the Horns got to a degree where they would fly us out to LA, which made me very popular out here.
Yeah. I bet. I bet. That's why
And
you were
and
dubbed
just
Hollywood Paul.
very
All of
popular and beloved,
the
by the way, out
the
here.
Southern California music scene dubbed you
Yes,
Hollywood
just
Paul
open
because you were.
arms. Hollywood Paul, come out here. Let us embrace you. That kind of thing.
Uh,
And then I even got to fly to Atlanta. I played with
mhm.
REM in Atlanta and recorded with them. And even England. They flew us to England a bunch of times to play on records.
Incredible,
And that a
incredible.
lot of musicians at that time couldn't figure out what we were doing that was so special. And
Yeah,
there it is.
yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
You don't know, and you're not going to figure it out because that's not where you came from. That wasn't your musical experience. Doesn't mean your musical experience is bad. Doesn't mean it's invalid. It's just different, and you
Hmm.
chose that path.
Yeah.
So walk it. You know, that's my thing. I did, and like ruined my life over it, but I walked that path to
Yeah.
get as good as I could at that art because anything you do, you have to do the best you can do and be the best
Exactly.
you can be
Hmm.
doing it.
So you did your thing. You were Hollywood Paul, and I mean that included like what 7 nights a week, going out to clubs, networking, hanging, absorbing the music,
Yeah,
meeting musicians.
yeah.
Yeah. Any fun run-ins with stars, musicians,
Oh, classic. I met Bernie Glow on the street.
just walking around?
Yeah, we was walking to Giardinelli's. Remember, you're
Oh,
too young, but
yeah.
Giardinelli's used to have a store like on 52nd, right on Broadway, and upstairs, and like
Hmm.
everybody went there. And I met him walking to Giardinelli's.
Hey, Bertie.
And he
Nice
was,
to meet you.
weirdly, Bernie, like, who played a lot out here with Dionne Warwick and Burt Bacharach.
Hmm.
He was in Burt Bacharach's band because he was known for being so accurate and never missed. I mean, I'm sure he missed some, but like, it was so little that you didn't hear it that much, you know?
Hmm.
And it was an honor to meet him, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zoot
That's
Sims I met, and then I met every, from Van Halen on across the board, rocker you can imagine,
yeah.
and hung with
Yeah.
them, Debbie Harry, you know.
That's yeah, crazy scene to imagine.
And then
you know.
and then my jazz exposure in rock, by the way,
Yeah.
was with Cameo. I did Word Up, and their second album after that was Machismo. And we went in and did 4 tracks with them. We finished them, and they said, "Don't leave. We have a special guest." In walks Miles Davis, and Miles guested on a solo on 2 tracks, I think, with them.
On that. And you guys are in the studio.
Yeah, I didn't stay long because I named my son Miles, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And Miles Davis was my jazz hero, but I knew his reputation.
So,
There were times when he was less than cordial. Let me just put it that
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I've read the book.
way. Yeah.
So,
So I didn't want to be on that side of it.
yeah. Yeah. But you did get to meet him though. You were in the studio
Yeah,
when
I
he
met
came
him.
in
We
and
were in
did
the
that.
same room together. Like,
Still an honor. Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. And who'd have thought little Paul from Kentucky is now
yeah,
flying the world
little
and
barefoot kid running around in the woods. Yeah, that's me.
yeah. I don't want to skip over this part. How did the Uptown Horns actually come together? Was it just organically you guys were gigging so much together, or was it a defining moment?
Arno Hecht, the tenor player of the Uptown Horns, and it was his idea first. He'd start an iteration of the Uptown Horns before I came along. But
Hmm.
we met at a rehearsal band of a pseudo rock fusion band that he was playing in, and I got called out of the blue, and I came in and I played, and we started playing together on these parts, and he goes like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, do you have nights free and stuff?" And I go, "Sure." I said, "What time?" And he told me the time, and I said, "Yeah, I think I could do that." He goes, "I'm doing this band, Brenda and the Real Tones." He brought me into that, and then from the Terry Dunn like R&B thing, we go, we really need to expand the section.
Hmm.
So that's how I found Bob Funk, the trombonist, and Arno a new Crispin Seal, and Crispin Seal came in, and then we had the beginnings of the Uptown Horns.
So that was that. So you guys were kind of playing together, but it was also kind of let's establish this group.
Yes, we
Yeah.
decided to like make it a horn section and try to make ourselves not only available but interestingly enough to every artist we meet and play with. that they see that we're just not trying to take the money and get out of there.
Take the money and run. Yeah. And I mean, the number of artists and the variety of artists that you guys have recorded with and toured with is incredible, because you go from pop and funk to rock, hard rock, driving
Yes,
rock,
yeah,
and you guys fit in, or some like Joe Cocker,
yes.
I mean, Unchain My Heart, what a classic tune. How did you guys get connected to Joe? That was get on that as well.
Through Dan Hartman. Dan Hartman wrote the song "I Can Dream About You." I don't know if you remember that tune or not.
Probably not.
Really
I don't remember my kids' names.
Interestingly enough about Dan Hartman started as a bass player with Edgar Winter.
Oh, interesting.
He co-wrote Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
And Dan became a staff writer for a lot of the record labels, where they could call, like when we did James Brown's Living in America, that was Dan Hartman. That was for Rocky IV. And we were on the road with Robert Plant. I've told you that story before. He got a call to come out to LA and do that. But it was Dan Hartman who wrote the song. Also, he had a partner named Charlie Midnight. And Charlie Midnight was producing Joe Cocker in New Jersey at the time. This was after the James Brown record, of course. And he said, I have this track, Unchain My Heart, and I'd like to use you guys on it and see what you could come up with. So we came up with, and we arranged the thing right there in the studio.
So that was it. It was on the spot. Was that how most of your things were, or was it some of them written out, sketched out in advance, or did it just depend on the artist?
Very little. We came up on the spot, mostly. Sometimes we sketched things out, but not too much, because we didn't want to make it sound so planned.
A little more improvisational, kind of more the jazz side of things.
Improvisational and fresh with hooks. They have hooks. You can hear the hook. Yeah. It's obvious. Yeah. And a lot of guys don't like that, but hooks are what make people listen. And we're not playing for somebody from Juilliard. We're playing from the guy who's like, lifting boxes at some warehouse. Okay.
Or making mouthpieces at a shop.
Yes.
Or doing valve alignments. Paul, I feel so manipulated. You and your hooks. Come on. Make me want to listen to a tune over and over again.
I have you in my web, Snell.
Sorry, as I go and listen to some Messiaen when I'm doing the next alignment this afternoon. No offense to any Messiaen fans out there. I'm sure I'm going to offend someone, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get it.
Your hooks. I mean, you've done so many things. Like I was thinking of the B-52s I was listening to on the way up, just by chance. I mean, you recorded with James Brown. Like, do you have any favorites that you go back and you just kind of go, yeah, we did that one?
I mean, we played on so many great tunes that became classics.
Yeah.
That in each one is special in its own right.
It's like a baby. But any horn part that maybe is kind of on a sleeper tune that you kind of think?
An obscure one would be Albert Collins' Cold Snap album, which was done on an independent label out of Chicago, which is some of our best horn work ever as a section. Really? And Living in America, classic.
Yeah, and, not really a sleeper.
And you mentioned Joe Cocker, that one.
Yeah.
And then stuff we did with Tom Waits on Rain Dogs, which was really going into like a jazz thing that was like punk. It was really like punk jazz. Say, vis-a-vis the Lounge Lizards or something. I don't know if you know that group or not.
Yeah,
John Lewis.
How cool.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I was exposed to so much that's why it was simple to me to try to fuse and it started with like that solo album I did and Howie's Here of like getting me into jazz more. And the theory behind it, that I had to bring my voice in playing that out and try to make it interesting for people and for a lot of listeners, not just jazz listeners. But I wanted it to be like jazz in the sense of I am fusing my career with this and saying, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
This is not who I'm pretending to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the Legacy is a killer album. The tunes are more big band, but doing tunes that are, important to you through your career or you personally.
From a rock sensibility, most of it from a
Yeah.
rock sensibility.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder, Blood, Sweat, and Tears on it.
Mm-hmm.
That gamut right there.
Yeah.
But it's same era.
Mm-hmm.
But from making the horn section stuff and the solos on it, where they're interesting, where it doesn't go too long on the solo, so you don't get bored. Because we're in a 5-second era right now.
Clip era. Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah. Well, so then that begs the question. So you had Legacy. That was a successful album on the charts, I remember. What was the inspiration then for The Literal Truth for your second album?
The Literal Truth, the Legacy helped me find my voice. And in particular, when I played out with the band, I found what I wanted to put out and what to be. And so Literal Truth is the Paul Litteral band. That's it right there. And we played a few gigs out and we got good response. And I think if I could play out more, if more people went to clubs, which is very hard now, this is a very hard time to do that. So we do more in video. We have a video coming out soon. And I'm still working on another video that I want to do for both of them are Steely Dan tunes that we did from the album. Yeah.
That was your inspiration. And it's a smaller, it's not a full big band, right? It's more of a horn section.
It's a more four horns and guitar, bass, drums, piano, and vocals.
Yeah. And more of that. I hate labeling, but to describe the sound, it is kind of like we've talked about, like with the artists you've worked in, kind of this, funk, rock fusion, jazzy, greasy, bluesy. Yeah. I mean, it's a little, it's like a good stew.
Yeah, it's a stew.
You put that on the next album.
I try to make it all. We tried to make it all fit together. We really did, and I think the producers did a great job. Angela did a great job.
Oh yeah,
and Greg Curtis did an incredible job mixing it and producing it.
I want to see that on the next album. My testimonial. It's like a good stew, John Snell.
All right, I will.
I have such a way with words.
Maybe I could do that blues tune, Kidney Stew.
I love it. My mom's an English teacher, and I have such a poor command of the English language. I have to laugh.
I do too. It's not intentional, though.
So, take us through the tunes. You mentioned, so there's a couple Steely Dan tunes. What are some other highlights for you, and why did you choose them?
We did Home at Last. We did Black Cow. We did Do It Again, which was a holdover and a remix from the first album.
That's right. Yeah, that's on Legacy.
Yeah, and I wanted to redo it from the way we did it live more. And then I did some tunes from Edgar Winter's White Trash, Give It Everything You Got, and Dying to Live. And crazy as it seems to start the record, we started with the last tune on the CD, which is Follow Me. And Follow Me is a vocal rendition of the Rodrigo Adagio, the concerto.
Interesting.
Which is Sketches of
Spain. Yeah.
But done in a way that's harder and introduces more rock elements in it, like vis-a-vis guitar, electric guitar, fuzz boxes and echo and all kinds of things on it, sounds, and even taiko drums are in it. And I wanted to fuse that into the rest of the record of like sonically, where it wasn't jarring when I went into the more jazz rock stuff. So
fascinating. And for those listening, if you scroll back a couple episodes, we had Greg Curtis who mixed the album, and we talk more about the recording process and the mixing and all of that on Greg's episode. And before we get angry emails, because we got angry emails the last with Greg's episode, because people will say, I want to hear the album, play clips. And unfortunately, the litigious society we live in now, like if you put any music on your podcast, even if you have license to use it, you get
Yeah,
copyright
we have
strikes.
license. Everything
Well,
is
you have, I'm
licensed.
not saying you do, but like we can't, we get copyrighted striked, which is why we don't play clips on the podcast.
You know what's ridiculous? Well, what's obviously ridiculous about
Yeah.
that? They could sell more
Well,
records
exactly.
and do more things
Exactly.
if they let more people play stuff so that people who want to hear it can hear it.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. But so for those folks listening, we do have the links down in the description on the show notes. And if you're watching this on YouTube, down in the description, we have links to Paul's website and we have links to it streaming on Spotify.
Outrageous 8
Yeah.
Records, too. You can go on that
Outrageous 8
website
records. And
you can download it or order the CD.
yeah, so it's a 1 or 2 clicks away to be able to hear clips of this album we're talking about. So
you can find it. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you have the people playing on there? Yeah. I love the internet.
But you know what? Like I know about that. I know they do like tiny desk concerts at NPR and stuff, but it's like it's harder to do it live in a little studio.
It is. Yeah.
The college at Loyola used to do that. I used to do some live stuff there with bands. And they have a nice room and it works out, but it's not the same as listening to the tracks the way we wanted you to hear them.
Exactly. I mean? And as the Bob Reeves Brass media empire grows, we might be able to turn this front room into a tiny desk concert.
No, right.
Maybe, but we have to grow the empire a little bit more before we get to that point. So,
okay.
Not
when it takes over the world.
Exactly.
When Bob Reeves takes over the
Exactly. So again, sorry for the tangent, but I'm just heading off a few angry emails about play the tunes, but we're talking about them here.
I'm glad they're interested.
Yeah. So can you take us into the studio? Because we heard from Greg on the, the other side of the engineer booth, in terms of putting down solos and the thing that always, the OCD in me, like recording, it's like, there's always a better take, right? Like as a perfectionist and a high achiever, you're always like, maybe I can do one better. Or like if you're improvising. So like,
but it's like a painter.
Yeah.
You have to know when the picture is done.
So
sometimes the little flaws are the thing that makes it special.
Yeah. So how was that for you when you were in the studio? Like, how do you know when you're happy with it, when you're done?
Well, like my favorite solo on the whole thing pretty much is on Dying to Live. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not. The ballad.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest because the key was the hardest to play in. I had like all sharps. And the thing about that was the importance of that was to play interesting things, but that were musical and melodic, because that's the tune. The tune is very sensitive and melodic, and the melody is the whole thing. That's the importance of the song. And so I wanted to go off of that and make it like musical and part of the melody that I could use, but still change it so that I am putting my own stamp on it.
Yeah. And you did it. That's it's my favorite solo on the album too. I mean, it's a great album. The playing is smashing. And to me, the big band album is fun. And I see why you did it. The tunes, the choice of tunes and things like that. And when you and Greg sent over an early copy of this album, I put it on and I was like, yeah, this is Paul. This is the Paul I've played with.
See, that's what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. You nailed it. Home run. So, and I hate this question because these are all your own little babies. Are you working on the next one? You have any future ideas or projects in the pipeline?
Yeah, I have. I'm picking out I got a couple of tunes already picked out, and we're thinking. We're talking. I mean, and with this one, what was great about this one, this was done, thank God, against part of my wishes of in the studio of like overdubbing too much. I mean, like we overdub, don't get me wrong, but like we played live together, the whole band. So you could get the energy of the tracks rather than just, okay, now we're going to put this piece here and then glue this here.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean? And
Might as
then,
well use a sample library at
uh,
that point, you know. Yeah. So
right,
you guys were
right. So
actually
it's a little mechanical that way. Not that it's not good, but it's what you were talking about
mhm,
earlier. It's
mhm.
perfect. And that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
You listen to all the old stuff, none of that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, tempos go up and down. Everything is a little greasy. Certain licks weren't played, or the chord wasn't played in the right spot. The horn parts, there's a crack in it. There's something like that. This is like, I wanted to do it reminiscent of those things, where you'd get a lot of the natural. Trying to keep it real,
Well, yeah.
you
Well, and we
know.
like we just had Jerry Hay on talking about his horn section and working with Quincy and how Quincy would make him play a vamp for 5 minutes because
Yeah.
there's a magic that happens when great musicians are playing together. You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
it grows exponentially. You know, 1+1 = 3 instead of okay, trumpet one plays its part, trombone plays its part, trumpet two plays its part, drums put your part down, and it's all sterile and it may be perfect, but there's no communication, there's no extra stuff that
No.
happens, the
Yeah.
magic.
No
Yeah.
interaction that's going on and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So, and you get that from your album, and it's great that it was intentional, you know, because when you started, it was not digital, right? First, I mean, did
No.
you guys, was Uptown Horns around long enough to get into the digital era, or were you guys done by then? It was all
No.
tape.
You know what? Check this out. We were playing at the record plant in New
Mm-hmm.
York for this group that was using two Studers because they had filled up all the tracks and they were running
Mm-hmm.
over. So when we played and did our overdub, they would have to start the Studers at different times and it wouldn't catch up for a few seconds before we could play. It was the craziest thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Because you just go, and then it locks into the
Gets
track, and you're off, right? And then it's play.
comes up to speed, and then you start playing. It's like the Stone Age.
Yeah, you can't mess up, you
Yeah.
know. And then it's like that's the whole
The Stone
problem.
Age. Amazing. So you guys didn't get into the digital era then with Uptown
No,
Horns.
I
It
mean
was all
we
tape.
played with we played literally with bands, and I won't tell you
Mm-hmm.
who, in the studio that to make the tracks like the time good. They would cut long pieces of tape and hang it up as they'd recorded. And then once they wanted to put the track together, they would take those strips off and tape them in to the rest of the tape to make it even.
Incredible. What like a lost art. You know, like
It is a
yeah,
lost art. The guy with the could work the razor
yeah, the
blade
splicers,
could send his kids to
the
college.
splicers. Yeah, yeah, that kind of magic. And now it's all with a few clicks and sliding around
Now
on a
it's just like
timeline. Yeah,
I'm at home. Oh,
yeah,
yawn. Here, pop. There it
I can do
is.
it on my phone. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. I mean, I just kind of touch a few more things on the Uptown Horns here. I mean, you guys played with some pretty, what's the word, eccentric artists. Any shareable stories over the internet about some of the artists? I mean, I know you'd mentioned Iggy Pop, who is certainly a character, larger than life character.
Oh, we did a great. His album was
Hmm.
great that we did. We did that at the record plant as
That was
well.
there.
Houston is hot
Yeah.
tonight. I loved working on it. He was so crazy. He popped in. Me and Arno did the record,
Hmm.
so we're in the studio and he pops in, and he's got not Jack Daniels, Johnny Walker Red, a whole bottle of it, and he's shaking it like this. He goes, "You guys are ugly, and I'm going to make you beautiful." That's the way the record started. Not, I want to hear this here and that
Yeah.
there. None of that. None of that. Just more abstract, I guess, just to get us
Hmm.
started. And we had a great engineer, producer. Tom Panunzio was the producer on the
Hmm.
session. And we were there all night. We did the whole record in one night. And then weeks later, the record company put up a lot of money, got us a gig at the Ritz, and they had all the press there. It was on a Friday night, right? So it was packed out. And everything was good. He had a great band, like Blondie Chapman, who played with the Stones, and tons of
Mm-hmm.
people, Paul McCartney, everybody. Uh, anyway, the band starts the intro, and we're just it's hot, and like the crowd's going crazy, and Iggy comes running in from the wings onto the stage. It was a big long stage, and when he gets about halfway to where the mic is, he leaps in the air, and he's prone to the stage like this. He grabs the mic, crashes down, and that's the way the thing opens. And what we didn't know is that either somebody dosed him or something happened where he drank, but he was on acid and he was tripping his brains out. So he would only sing half a song
And then
and then run off. And the management was pushing him back out, and he would run off again, and they'd push him back out. It was musical hell.
and the band has to vamp or make do or whatever. You guys
Yeah, we
covered.
did. All the endings that we rehearsed, they're
Forget
out.
about it.
It's gone. It's gone.
Sax solo, go. Right? Like what?
Go,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh my gosh. It's different. Well, maybe different times. I don't know. There's still crazy personalities in the pop scene.
And then,
Yeah.
we did a crazy gig with this guy, John Parr, who did the music for the Breakfast
Okay.
Club. We played live with him just for like 2 tracks at a big club in New York. And that's one of the only times we were actually playing to tracks live.
Everything else was live, I'm assuming, or
No,
everything else was tracks? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Except us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that has very high horn parts on it. His tune. You can go back. I think he only had that one single.
Yeah. Wow. So you mentioned like recording with Iggy Pop. You said you recorded all night. Like you started at night, right? Like when you did that album.
Started around 11:00.
Was that common?
And got out, and the sun was shining.
Was that common with the stuff you guys did, or like
no?
Really, that was an oddball. Okay,
that was an oddball. I mean, we went in. Only time I went in early is when we were doing jingles and stuff. I do early calls, but basically the calls were in the afternoon and night.
Yeah. But Iggy was like, "No, you're coming over at 11, and you leave when we're done."
Because I can get it. I can get it together to be there.
Okay, man, what a scene! What a scene! We had talked about in the last episode about your touring with the Rolling Stones and the Uptown Horns. You had mentioned that you left in that episode, but you didn't really get into the story behind it. And we had talked about it. That that was a major turning point in your life.
It was huge. It was a huge departure. I mean, I was essentially on top.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't.
We were on top.
Who could you play?
We had a choice to be. We had a choice to be the horn section for David Letterman or do the Stones. We chose the Stones, and then we lost that because we were playing a lot on Letterman early on. But then people got involved that essentially ended up with that gig.
Yeah.
I mean, the horns on there are good guys, but it's the way it happened was kind of weird. But I won't go into that.
Well, it's the music business.
The Stones thing was like, it was a life-changing experience, and I'm not talking about musically. And I went through another savage breakup. At that time, we came off the road, and the Uptown Horns were trying to do another solo record. And I think I wasn't in any mental shape to do much of anything. And there were arguments involved, and a lot of things were my fault. And it was a time when I had to sit down and go, I've played with everybody I've ever wanted to play with ever. And if I do anything now, it's going to be repeating a lot of it. And that wasn't who I wanted to be. I mean, I wasn't realistic. Realistic is you're making a great living. They're flying you everywhere. Just go for the ride.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I cut. I ran. I ended up alone.
Mm-hmm.
I had to reinvent myself and then find Paul again. And that didn't happen until I came out here.
Wow. Wow. So it's kind of like it was a crucible. Was it just the pressures of touring, the stardom?
It was the pressures of touring. It was the pressures of personal life, really tragic personal life. And being in that horn section for so long, and being a guy who had tried to keep the peace in that horn section for so long, and the pressures, and I cracked finally.
Yeah, you had enough.
I just cracked.
You had enough.
Yeah.
Man, so what led you to LA? Was that like the beacon of light that you're thinking, okay, I need a change, or?
Well, it did because of I came out here to do a record and a tour for Hidden Beach Records, which is Jill Scott's label. And I think Michael Jordan was involved in that label at the time, too. They're a label out of Santa Monica. And they had a group called Unwrapped, which was a hip-hop jazz group. And me and Jeff Lorber were the only two white people in the whole band. And the records became so popular that we ended up doing three or four. But they asked me after the first record if I would relocate. And I said, yes, I will. Because I was there when the towers fell in New York. I saw that. I witnessed it. I went through it. I saw New York change in a day. And along with me, everything was broken. And so I had to choose. I don't think you can rebuild here. I don't know if you have the strength to rebuild here, or if I'll be accepted to rebuild there. So I had to go out here and jump in the pool.
Yeah. And you had said there was always an allure to LA, right?
Yes, I love LA.
So was it an obvious choice as opposed to Europe or Chicago or?
At the time it was,
okay.
Yeah. At the time it just lined up right. And I had the opportunity to stay here and go through a lot of things. And it was really tough here.
You had to play with me.
No. Those were the good days. Those were the good days. The other
John, you're sharp.
You got to live here. You got to find a place to live here. You got to make a living. You have to do all kinds of things that are going to make it hard for you to live your dream.
Yeah, but you did it. You did it. That's like the most inspiring thing. I
made it through.
It's the most inspiring thing to go from New York, to go through all of the different things think about every kind of.
I didn't know what was really going to happen. I just let go.
Yeah. And you kept playing, right? Like you kept practicing trumpet. Like that was kind of the constant through all of this.
That's the one constant that has never left.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people that go through things similar or different, and the trumpet or the instrument is the first thing to kind of go by the wayside.
The only thing that made me stop playing trumpet was Bell's palsy.
That happened while you were out here, right? That was what 4 or 5 years ago.
First record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the trumpet was the constant. Absolutely amazing. Well, amazing conversation, Paul. Thank you so much. I learned something every day. I've known you for 20 years and I still learn something new every time.
Well, I didn't talk a lot about things.
Yeah.
I don't think I told you about who I was until we were on a gig or something, and I just looked over and I said, I played on this.
I tell that story all the time, because it's the absolute. It's the perfect. Like you don't know who you're sitting next to, and thank God, I think I was mostly nice to you and not my normal. My normal self.
You're always nice and an excellent.
The other side of the bell. Your $20 check is on the way, Paul. Thank you. No, but it's absolutely true. You never know in this business who's sitting next to you, and it may be the person who
No.
recorded the tune you're playing, or the
Yes.
tune you're. I've done brass quintet things where the composer is sitting on trombone, and it's like,
Right.
who wrote this crap? Oh, hey,
Right.
you never know. But yeah, and I put that on my CV that I played with Paul Litteral. So I'm
Ah,
one connection from James Brown, one step. So before we wrap up here, so I mean, we'll have links to where you can get the album, where you can stream it. You have your own website, but you also the Outrageous 8 Records is where you can buy the digital download of the album,
and we have a video coming out as
and that's
well.
going to be on your YouTube. We'll have a link to that as well. Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up before we do wrap up. So you've mentioned you've got a few tunes for the new, maybe potential new album, but you've also been doing some playing, right? You have some playing projects coming up, or that just happened.
Yeah, I did a gig in Santa Barbara that was a tribute to Brian Wilson and his music, and like Wilson Phillips was in it, Kenny Loggins was there, and a bunch of great artists that I sent you a link
Yeah.
of all the performers, and it was a terrific show. It was very interesting, and I had done that with Colin, who's one of the sax players on both albums. He's played with
Mm-hmm.
me, along with Kyle Zimmerman. They sort of sub in and out because Colin can be rather busy.
That comes with the territory. So you're still keeping busy. You're working on another album. Can't wait to hear what comes next from you, Paul. And in the meantime, we have The Literal Truth to listen to, and we can go back a few years and listen to Legacy. So absolute pleasure having you on. Last episode, I asked my doozy of a question about your best piece of advice. You've already said that one. So I reframe this question that I've used a few times now. So if you could go back to, let's say, 18-year-old Paul, or just leaving the Navy Paul, your younger self, what would you do differently? What advice would you give your younger self?
Make smarter choices. Don't try to go down the hard path so much.
Mm-hmm.
You can venture off of the easy path, but come back to it so that your sanity can kind of stay in there. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people that go through kind of breakdowns or changes in life, it can totally devastate because it's so fragile, life. Mm-hmm. We don't know that. They don't give us a book.
Yeah.
Do this, don't do that. No, it's not there. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. But through all that, you found yourself, you've made lots of music, made lots of people happy, and continue to do that. Continue connecting with
I
people.
hope so.
Oh, yeah. Absolute pleasure having you on, Paul. Thank you so much. Can't wait for Volume 3. We'll have you on again.
Thank you. Take care.
Well, Paul has had such an amazing career, and just like Jerry Hay last time, I would scroll back a little bit, or we'll include the link for the last episode when I had Paul on, where we did more of the traditional format of how you got started and the teachers and the pedagogy, more of the trumpety kind of talk. And I wanted to have Paul back on to talk more about his horn section playing, the rock scene. So much of this information is going by the wayside, and just like having Jerry on last episode, these tunes, these artists, these records have defined not only just our generation, but pop music and rock music and soul music. And so I wanted to dig in a little bit deeper about the stories of the artists and what the club scene was like. And, so great to have Paul talking about, the roots of the punk scene starting in New York, and the club scene hanging out, and the good and the bad that comes along with that. And I really appreciate Paul's transparency and his honesty to talk about the sacrifices one has to make or had to make to be successful in that sort of scene. Not that that's the only way, but it tended to be the case. I know we've had Chris Bodie talk about how he sacrifices to have a career on the road and always in the studio or on the road or whatever you're doing. It's difficult to have a wife and a kid and a dog and a front yard and et cetera. So with Paul's experience and, again, the ups and the downs is really eye-opening for me. And I've known Paul for 20 years, and I think a great picture of what that scene was like and what those musicians went through in terms of both the success and the trials and tribulations, so to speak. And through it all, Paul played the trumpet. And to me, that's the most inspiring thing about that. And it was so cool to hear him talk about that was his constant in his life. And no matter where he was emotionally or financially or whatever, he was still practicing, still putting music out there for the people. And he continues to do so. I mean, he just did a killer gig, as he had mentioned, with the Brian Wilson tribute with some A-listers, and still remains busy out here in LA, and hopefully still keeps creating. I mean, 2 great albums out, and can't wait for the 3rd. So huge thank you to my buddy Paul. We could talk all day. In fact, we started the episode half an hour late because we were just making each other laugh so much. And we should do that. We should do an outtakes episode sometime of the stuff we didn't record. But probably not fit for public consumption. So anyway, learn more about Paul. We'll have the links to his website, his albums on Spotify, all the places you can stream. As he mentioned, they're doing a video that'll be up on their YouTube channel. We'll have the links for that. The album is put out by Outrageous 8 Records. Angela O'Neill is head of that, and she does a wonderful job curating these artists and big bands and different musicians in and around the LA area. So we'll have a link to her website, the Outrageous 8 Records website, so you can purchase a digital download of that album, Paul's first album, Legacy, and some other great artists that she represents. So with that, we're working on the next episodes. It's always crazy this time of year, so I can't tell you who the next guest is going to be, but it is going to be someone fascinating, and I am lining up guests for 2026. So hit that subscribe button, hit that review button, leave us a comment on YouTube, and happy holidays, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.